Greetings, Dr. Tao here, and hope everyone's having a beautiful day today. Today, I want to touch briefly on the importance of being a nutritional revolutionary and how to be a nutritional revolutionary in today's time. Many of us overlook the importance of eating and why we eat and the purposes of why we eat. Eating food is basically information transference, and whenever we put food into our body, it's feeding not just the cells of the body, but it's also feeding the brain and how the brain is structured and how it thinks. So if we look at truth beyond just a textbook, we look at it throughout a vibration, and a vibration is basically a resonance that the body is maintained at, and that resonance is maintained by whatever you consume on a daily basis, which is called your diet. I tend to say that it's impossible to know everything, but through vibration, you will be compelled towards that which is proper. What I mean by that is, if you eat proper or you have a high vibration about you, then you would come to find that your solutions to problems would be high vibrational. So healthy people do healthy things. Healthy people have healthy arguments. Healthy people do all things healthy. Sick people do all things sick. If I were to go into looking at truth from a chemical or biochemical standpoint, basically you would say that from a hormonal standpoint, you have a hormone called phenylalanine, and phenylalanine creates something called tyrosine, and tyrosine creates serotonin, and serotonin creates melatonin. So those are what we call the hormonal highways of truth. So you see the last hormone there was melatonin. So that's what keeps you black, what keeps you in your high spirit, your high mind. In other words, you can't access white intelligence with you can't access black intelligence with a white program. You have to understand that whenever our people are oppressed, then everything is a tool for their oppressor. And yes, that means your diet is also something you should look and consider. Is that a form of your oppression? Your food is not harmless, is what I'm saying. Nothing's harmless when the people is oppressed. And when we see that whenever you're eating incorrectly, the brain begins to see structure where there is no structure. And where there is structure, it sees no structure. So in other words, it creates false positives. And this is from a nutritional standpoint, remember. So it creates false positives. So wherever there is truth, it sees no truth. And wherever there isn't truth, it sees truth. So eating is more than just, consuming food to fill your belly and make you feel better. As we understand, and some people may understand, that every taste bud, every texture is connected to emotional center of the brain. So if someone tends to eat a lot of crunchy food, then they have a lot of anxiety, a lot of things on their mind they want to unwind with. If someone eats a lot of carbohydrates or bready foods, pastas, they tend to have an emptiness or some type of void in their life that they want to feel, fulfilled. If someone eats a lot of creamy foods, then they have what we call a cuddle hunger, or they want to be nurtured, or they want to nurture someone else. If someone eats a lot of salty food, then they have a lot of pent-up aggression and anger that they would like to express. If someone eats a lot of sugary foods, then that person lacks the ability to receive love or to express love. So you can kind of look at your own diet and see what textures do you lean towards, and that will kind of give you more insight into what's going on from an emotional standpoint. Remember, most of us eat from emotional reasons, not for intellectual purposes. And when we see that we want to elevate, our culture and our people, then we would understand that every tool can be used as a weapon against the people who are oppressed. So you want to take back your power, take back your energy that you have, and allow you to solve your own problems in your community. in our community. And sometimes we don't understand the nutritional causes for racism and things of that sort. But when you study the glaciated parts of the earth throughout the Ice Age, you will see that when you study a people, you study their blood and you study the soil from which they ate. So you see that whenever you study the glaciated parts of the earth, of the world, during that time of the Ice Age, the soil was highly depleted in something called glutamic acid. It was also depleted in phosphoric acid, along with zinc and selenium. When you study these actual these chemicals and the elements, also is depleted in something called lysine. And when you study these actual elements, you'll see in a psychology book that when a people are deficient in these minerals and vitamins in the brain, that they have a propensity towards violence. It causes thin lips and a flat behind. It causes OCD behavior, and it causes them to see other people unlike them as being dangerous and violent. Now, when a particular people come from the caves represents darkness, and darkness is something they fear. So when they see things that are dark, they see it as something dangerous or evil. This is based off what we call the law of the caves. We have to understand that it's more to it than just eating. It's a whole way to keep people down on the vibrational standpoint. And so food is not something you just eat carelessly and just say, okay, I've had a meal. But understanding the proper way of eating for nutritional purposes, not just emotional purposes. And you eat to gain power. That's the main purpose. So you can solve your issues and solve your problems. If you were to get into an argument with somebody, a lot of us don't consider the fact that the feeling you have after an argument, that feeling is could be associated with a deficiency of minerals and vitamins after that energy has been expended. So say you were to get into an argument with somebody, you would end up being deficient in potassium and zinc and selenium, or you may be deficient in calcium after that. So you have to replenish that energy back into the body. Now, if you didn't replenish that energy of those elements, then you would tend to try to find those in a food subconsciously or involuntarily. And you would pick certain foods that would help satiate that emotional center of the brain. This is why we tend to eat certain types of texture foods, because we want to involuntarily or subconsciously satisfy that emotional center that has been depleted throughout some type of oppression or argument or whatever happened. So a lot of us use what I'm saying, eating habits for escapisms, to escape certain things in our society that causes pain or we want to get away from. I want us to just consider that a little bit deeper when it comes to why we eat and the purpose of eating and the purpose of food. Food is not our slave. Food is set up to be what we call nutritional or spiritual nutrition. And we miss out on spiritual nutrition when we look at food as being our slave just to serve us. And we get that from, being oppressed, where we looked at things from a slave-master relationship. Remember that you don't have a master. You shouldn't be going around saying you have a master's bedroom if you don't have a master. So certain things you shouldn't even say if you're a healthy person. You can't say the word picnic if you understand what the word picnic comes from. It has to do with lynching people. So part of being healthy is speaking healthy as well. I know I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but make sure you understand that the fact that eating correctly is more than just, someone choose to eat a salad today and have some fruit the next day. It's beyond that. It has something about taking back your power as a people so you can have a proper solution to your problems. Remember, you can only solve your problems within your community. Eagles do not solve deer's problems. Lions do not solve bears' problems. You solve the problems within your community, and that's how nature is set up. So other people cannot solve our problems, and we cannot solve their problems. You have to look into your own community to solve your own issues, and that's just the way nature is structured. So understand that diet is beyond just eating correctly. It has to do with how the brain thinks and understands, and that you do not see with your eyes, you do not hear with your ears. Those are sensors. You only see with one sense, which is your common sense, which is your brain. So if I were to take you to Alaska and say, okay, it's snowing outside, you would say, okay, that's snow. But if you ask an Eskimo or an Inuit, they would say there's 250 different types of snow. So they could distinguish the different types of snow that fall down. But yet you would say, okay, it's just one type of snow. So that shows that you would see with your brain, not with your eyes. So if you don't see what I'm saying, of course you wouldn't see what I'm saying if you don't resonate with what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You have to see and listen and do all these things with your brain to understand what I'm saying right now. You don't see with your eyes, you see with your brain. That's the only sense you have. Everything else are called sensors. So, and your sensors are predicated based off your brain and how it thinks, and that's predicated based off how you eat. And based off how you eat, it's going to control your emotional centers and help you make a proper solution to your community. So, with that said, hope everyone has a beautiful day today. Stay blessed, stay safe, and have a good day.